The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good afternoon, everybody, and a very big welcome to this Get Ready for G-Cloud 14 webinar. My name is Chris Farthing. I'm the founder and CEO of ViceCloud, and I'm really delighted to welcome you all here. I can't believe we did our first G-Cloud webinar back in version 7, so it's quite a few years ago now. And yeah, I'm really delighted, although feeling slightly older. I'm already old. I'm feeling slightly old to be doing this, but yeah, really great to be here. And I'm just going to be guiding you through the day. I just need to move something here. I forgot to put that here. So as we talk through the exciting release of the next round of G-Cloud, G-Cloud 14. So a quick introduction. Before we do the introductions, actually, it's a bit of housekeeping here for you. Well, I'm really, really excited to be doing this, not only because a new round of G-Cloud gives an opportunity finally to add some new services to the vibrant digital marketplace, and people get a chance to at least update their pricing after what's been quite a horrific 2 years for an inflationary perspective. But also we've got something really, really exciting from our perspective and for helping you apply for G-Cloud, which we'll announce later on in this webinar. So some housekeeping, this is being recorded, okay? So the recording and slides and Q&A will all be disseminated to you at not the end, probably by some point mid-afternoon tomorrow. I would have thought by the time we've answered all the questions. You are muted, so there is no influence speaking back. So this is me talking to you. But if you want to get in touch with us or ask questions, please use the questions box in your sidebar, and all of those questions will be answered at the end. We have a large space for Q&A, and anything that we can't get to in there, we'll try to do our best to answer, and will be all the Q&A. So everything that we say will be put into a summary document and be issued alongside the slides. The slides and the recording in the webinar. So, for those of you who are new here, the scope of this webinar is always aimed at people that are new to the framework. Okay, there's lots and lots of information in here for reminders for people that are a little bit more experienced or old lags like us. But we do need to keep everything for the newbies, and I know there's quite a lot of people who are interested in joining the framework now. So for those of you who don't know us, who are Advice Cloud, we are the world's only GovTech viability mentors. That means we're UK public sector procurement experts, specifically known as specialists around G-Cloud and DOS and other frameworks, but mostly a lot of the work we do is around G-Cloud and DOS and digital marketplace. We're lucky to work with buyers and suppliers. I'm an ex-Gov buyer, and a lot of my team have all done buying work on behalf of the public sector, or have been involved in public sector procurement. We were founded in 2014, and we're lucky enough to have our clients have all worked with over 500 organisations, and have all earned a opportunity as a business across. Well, actually, I think it's across just DOS and G-Cloud, actually, this one, but earned £1 billion as a direct result of our work. Okay, the work that we do, and we're very, very proud. The reason we set up is that 71% of our clients are SMEs, and we do enjoy working with SMEs. We work with the large organisations, of course. Some of those were SMEs when we started working with them. So in this, what will we cover? Okay, what's going to go? So we're going to talk through a little bit about what the G-Cloud framework is for those that are new to it, or just as a reminder. We'll talk about what we know has changed for G-Cloud 14, not a lot. We'll talk about what we call G-Cloud viability, which is our word we've coined to help you to remove the blockers, I suppose, in your journey to selling well in the public sector. Talk a little bit about how we can help. We are a paid for consultancy after all, and then we'll go into Q&A. Okay. So in terms of that, we do ask polls during these webinars. It helps us test the temperature of the room and gauge we can move the content on the fly. I can go to more detail as we go on. So I'm ably assisted as always, by my marketing lead, Danny, who's going to be running the polls to help us with Q&A. So Danny, can we launch the first poll, please? Okay, so the first poll is, are you listed on G-Cloud 13? Please select one of the following. Yes, multiple G-Clouds. Yes, it's our first time. It's our first G-Cloud. No, we're not past G-Cloud. No, we're new to G-Cloud. We usually give people about a minute to get this answered, and we'll go to it from there. We'll publish the answers, obviously, from there. Okay, we're up to about 85% of people have voted now. If any of my team are on here from Vice Club, please don't vote. Yeah, so just a reminder for that. So yeah, I think we're nearly up to everyone has voted. Danny, shall we close that one down? Okay, if you want publishing the result. So here are the results. So are you from Chico? So well, that's well, 81% of you are on there, or have been on it. In fact, 87% of you have been on it before or on it, and so 12% of you are new to G Cloud. So we'll talk through a little bit about the stuff that you need to know, but we'll try to focus much more on things that are relevant then for the old lags and the people that have been on it before. So if you want to close that down, we can crack on. Thanks ever so much. Cool. That's not supposed to come up. Right, excuse me a second. Get back in. So a quick 101 on what the problems here today with the old sidebar. What is the G-Cloud framework? Okay, so the G-Cloud framework, and the fact that you'll see the number RM1557, that's the file number. Yeah, and for anyone who's a bit of a geek about this, CCS allocate a file number for each one of their frameworks, and G-Cloud is RM1557. And if you were really a geek, so the RM stands for route to market. So G-Cloud is a framework for suppliers of cloud-based solutions or services, yeah, to be made available for a front-end catalog called Digital Marketplace, okay? And we feel that G-Cloud is the right place to be for companies who are thinking about selling their cloud-based solutions to the government. It's currently divided into three buckets or lots of services, so divided to four buckets of lots or services. It used to be three then in G-Cloud 13, lot 4 was introduced. So the three lots are lot 1, which is cloud hosting, which is an amalgamation of infrastructure and platform as a service. Okay, so this is your typical hyperscaler or hosting type infrastructure, compute and storage type solutions, and some fairly close wraparound stuff around that. Okay, cloud software is your software-based solutions. So it could be a CRM, it could be a HR application, something data, something quite sexy around AI. It's very very much buzzword at the moment, so you want like that. And as you know, it's a SaaS-based solution, so really licensed. Box product licensed software is not for G-Cloud. We'll talk a little bit more about what's for and what's for in a little bit. Okay. Lot 3, cloud support. This is for the professional services element of migrating, choosing whether the cloud's right for you, then deciding whether the cloud is right for you, then migrating, choosing that cloud, migrating to it, securing it, training people on it, managing the cloud, retiring it, and then putting it into a new version of the cloud. Okay, and those are the 3 services that appear on Digital Marketplace. Lot 4 is for end-to-end cloud services. So this is a competitive lot. Okay, and it's usually for larger scale project services that cover the end-to-end, the whole thing from the planning to the ongoing support. Okay, so it's a capped number of suppliers. There were 40 last time it came around, so last edition. And I don't believe there's any plans to increase that number as well. So it was very competitive, and there were some quite big names that didn't get on. Obviously, all the clients that we did get on. So there's some noise in the background. Dan, are you muted? Just bear with. So why you should get listed? So I mean, G-Cloud was set up initially to help government buy cloud services really quickly and easily because they were finding it very difficult to buy from the larger suppliers. Okay, the big systems integrators who wanted to put them into their own massive data centers with 24/7 running and things like that, where and it cost an absolute fortune. So they put G-Cloud in place to try to break open the marketplace and specifically made very, very easy for smaller suppliers to get onto. Hence, now there's over 5,000 suppliers that are on the digital marketplace, on which something like 90% of these are SMEs. All right, the process to get on G-Cloud has always been reasonably straightforward. You haven't got to answer a massive tender, and the application does create what we consider a fairer and more competitive marketplace, and there isn't a cap on the number of suppliers that can join. I believe CCS are trying to reduce the cap of the number of suppliers that are on here for the simple fact that there's quite a lot of people who don't actually use it. All right. So I think something like about 1,300 organisations have actually sold through G-Cloud over the time it's been on. So G-Cloud allows buyers to really quickly and easily award a contract, and they can, including the direct award facility, which we'll go into a little bit more detail. So again, this is great news for suppliers of small suppliers of some of the more innovative solutions, which otherwise may have to go through a supply chain and get a little bit lost and get no recognition for the work that they can do. It's for off-the-shelf solutions, okay, commercial off-the-shelf solutions, so or cloud-based solutions. So if you offer a bespoke development, and whilst you may find some pure play bespoke software application development on the marketplace, they're not actually supposed to be there. So you really need to be looking at digital outcomes and specialist framework for that, or whatever it's going to be called when it hits version 7. It's definitely not for people, or recruiters or suppliers who just want us to provide resourcing staff. If you can provide outcome-based or scope of work-based work, then that's fine. Yeah, but just body shopping and dropping in is strictly not allowed. So in terms of how the contracts are awarded, we touched on that a little bit. So this is really quite important. So, I go onto, imagine if I go onto the digital marketplace and I type in, I want to buy CRM, I'm going to come up with probably about 3,000 different results. Okay, so I need to find a way that I can strip that down. So there's a bunch of different ways where you can search by keywords on this, because it's a catalog, use some filters, and I can then either get to a reasonably long or short list of suppliers. I can then evaluate them to see if they meet my needs. Okay, now if I happen to find only one supplier that meets my needs, either from a pricing perspective, yeah, or from a technical ability perspective, that's actually what I'm looking for, then I can do what's called a direct award for that. Yeah. Often if it's done by price, then that's fine. And the second one that can be used, so if I've got 5 suppliers there, I can then review them based on the evaluation criteria that I want and what I need, which is using what's called the MEAT, or most economically advantageous tender. The vast majority of work that we see, though, probably about 70 to 80% of the work that we do when working on behalf of buyers using G-Cloud, actually comes down to a direct award basis. Not that the customer, sorry, the supplier is known up front, but it does happen. They may be known to them, or as a specific supplier they want to use, but quite often you'll have a bunch of suppliers there who can. These are the only people that can actually meet that criteria. Okay, and that's called what's doing a direct award. So a lot of people I did a webinar for the Danish Embassy on trade service on Monday, and people were questioning, is it successful? I think this stat from our spend visualization that we have on our website says it all. Since 2012 up to the present date, it's gone 16.4 billion has gone through G Cloud. Okay, with 6.5 billion that going to SMEs. So I think that absolutely busts the government SME direct. Yeah, and this is direct to SMEs. Okay, I think government stats for direct to SMEs is something around the 13 to 14%. So it completely busts that and really overreaches on that 30% target or aspiration that the government has to award contracts to SMEs. So from an SME friendly, I mean, there's more that can be done. Okay, it used to be up in much higher numbers. So, and it could potentially get up to 50-55% if things were done different. I think something like 60 to 70% of all of the invoices that go through G Cloud to SMEs. So, unfortunately, they don't get the bigger deals. That's just the way of it. So again, it's successful. So you can see where the target markets are. Again, this visualization is available on our website, so you're more than welcome to have a look under the resources element. So, central government is by far and away the largest. It used to be up in the 80s, so it's coming down though. With the Home Office, the biggest spenders at 1.8 billion, and we won't mention the recent award to a very large hyperscaler, which is going to throw that completely differently. DPW, that's mean DWP, sorry, it's a typo from my end, is there. We're also there with 1.1 billion, got HMRC and MOJ as well. Okay, and again on this, you can actually go, if you look on the point of the G Cloud framework is it's very, very open and transparent. So everyone can see everyone else's services. You can check to see what your competitors are doing, and the spend data is published by Crown Commercial. It used to be just issuing a CSV, on which we used to take and put into this visualization we've had we've been going 10 years. It's got to be 8 or 9 years we've had that visualization on our website. CCS will launch a Power BI version of it as well, so there's a different version if you prefer to use that. But you can see here, and you can really drill down into who's spending what with whom and when. So a little bit more of a poll, like a little bit more information if possible, please. So Danny, if you're ready to launch that, that'd be great. So, have you made any sales to G Cloud? This is always a good question to find out who's that. So we've got three answers there. Yes, we've had lots of business. Yes, 1 or 2. No, we've yet to have anything. Okay, heading up towards 80% vote. Another couple of seconds. Okay, that's 80% of you. Dan, if you want to close that down and publish the results, please. Okay, well, congratulations to the just under 70% of you who have made sales through G Cloud, and hopefully 31% of you, if you on this or get in touch with us, we can then probably help you do that, actually make you more sales. So great work there. It's a very, very even split. So congratulations on that. Take that down. We'll crack on. Okay. Right. So what's changed from G Cloud 14? What to expect? Okay. So the main thing I think that we know, having been on the G Cloud webinars and having spoken to some people within CCS, I mean, they've not told us anything outside of what's been out on those webinars, but for those of you who weren't on the market engagements, it will follow the new Procurement Policy Note 0323 selection questionnaire. So it won't be the same background questionnaire I was in G Cloud 13. So it means that suppliers just won't be able to wholesale copy over their application from G13. Okay, so there'll be work that you need to do. So make sure you put that into your plan, that there is work to do, and check the stuff early in case there's things you need to remediate. There's going to be more information needed around prompt payment and subcontractors if you use them, as the UK government is now very, very focused on the transparency of supply chains. Okay. Listings still can be copied over, apparently. Obviously, we can't guarantee any of this until we see the framework, but this is the stuff that we've gleaned from those. So the things that can't are the documentation, which is the service definition, price, fiat, and terms of those you're affected by your modern slavery statement. Now, this may change. Sometimes it hasn't and it hasn't, but as far as I'm aware, you will have to upload new versions of these. And if it's a pricing document, I'd strongly recommend you raise your pricing and also be aware that this framework is likely to last for 2 years. Okay, so you're going to need to take into account inflationary costs, especially if you're a SaaS supplier, when the hyperscalers put up all their prices in January, as they usually do. All right. So again, we don't recommend doing this blindly. All right. So have a think about the stuff you need to do, what you're going to upload, and take this time to look over your current listings, assess them, make sure they're representative and they're working. If you're not getting many inquiries, or you're not really seeing much traction, or it doesn't get used an awful lot, you might want to have a think about how your viability on here, if there's some issues in this, and we'll touch on that a little bit later on. Financial criteria. This is quite a big one. So financial standing criteria is going to be introduced to lots 1 to 3 for the first time. It was introduced for lot 13 last year. And this is to ensure suppliers are more financially stable and viable partners of the public sector. This is Cabinet Office policy. Bless the Crown Commercial Services team. They did a very hard work last time around to ensure that Cab Office requirements weren't affected here, because they didn't think it would go down well. But this time they've got no choice. They haven't been able to get a derogation on this, so it's understandable. Although it does feel like that policy is being introduced that could affect smaller suppliers more than it would do the big suppliers, on the basis of a larger supplier failing, which is Carillion. Okay, the requirements are still being finalised, so don't take anything we say here as read. But what we've seen in other frameworks, okay, is that there's usually a Dun & Bradstreet threshold. You will need a Dun & Bradstreet DUNS number to apply for the framework, by the way. You won't need to have a BAT registered UK limited company. But there's usually a VAT threshold limit, and then if you can't meet that limit, then you have an opportunity to provide like an FV, the financial viability risk assessment template for this. Now, if I'm off the top of my head, I believe the FVRA levels are going to be for bronze level suppliers for lots 1 to 3, and gold level suppliers for G Cloud lot 4. There's more information on the website about that. On the Crown Commercial website, or get in touch if you want to know that from us. The timeline, all important. Okay, so the pre-market engagement's been done. As far as we're aware, it will open for applications on the 19th of February. It was due to be at the end of this month, but we've had it on good authority. It's the 19th of February. It will be coming out, give or take a day or two either side. The framework award could anything between September and October 24, and go live will be when the current version of G Cloud expires. which is, I think, November the 8th. All right, so if everything's done and dusted, they may bring it in earlier. And quite often they have allowed a month's grace period from go live to making sure that G13 contracts, new procurements can be ordered. But they may not decide to do that this time because there's been such notice that the framework is going to be going live. So if you have you're an ongoing supplier and you will have some renewals to do around the November time, I would suggest you try and get them completed by October. So more polls. Here we go. What's the next one, please, Danny? Are you applying for G14? So yes, we're definitely going for it. Yes, we need a bit more info. We're unsure, or no, it's not for us. Oh, we're at 81% on that already. We're 22 now. Give it a few more minutes. 83. 3 more minutes. A couple of seconds more. Sorry. 4. Okay, I think we can safely close that down. Then it's 85%, and we've captured most people there. If you wouldn't mind showing the results, please. Wow. Okay. 94% of you will be going for G Cloud. Congratulations. We look forward to seeing you in your names and everything on the award notifications. And for 6 minutes, I'm sure if you've got anything you need to, we're not covering off in here, just get in touch with us and we'll be able to hopefully assure you whether it's right or wrong for you. So if we close that down, we can crack on with the rest. If not again, let's walk that away, we'll get rid of that. Okay. Right. So your G-Cloud viability, how can you make G-Cloud work for you? Okay, so viability is a word that we've coined over the years to encompass a bunch of different things about how to making sure that when you're approaching or coming to sell to a buyer, there's no hurdles and blockers in your way. As a buyer, for me, when I was on the other side of things, I'd have people call me every day, telling me they'd like to sell to me. I was an ICT procurement relationship manager at my local council in Brighton. And each call usually lasts 20 minutes or so. They say, "Hi, I'm so and so. We're a local firm. We'd like to sell to you, please. What do we have to do? What do we get on your preferred supply list?" So I'd have to go through a bunch of different questions with them, making sure they understood if they were on frameworks, what size organisation were, how they sold their stuff. And by the end of it, when they knew some of the regulations, they obviously went away quite frustrated and go, "Look, we just want to sell you some printers." And say, "Well, you need to go and do your homework." So the work that we do about viability is trying to make sure that you are aware of all the things that you're going to have to do, all the blockers that might be in your way, and making sure we remove them. We've worked with many of the successful suppliers and buyers on G Cloud, over the years, and we've having done that work, we tend to know what makes a very, very successful supplier. There are just under 40,000 listings on G Cloud, and I think a large percentage of those are viable. They have something wrong within their makeup. A lot of them are just obviously been done very last minute, or people who don't really understand what they're doing. But also, the biggest side of this is the first time you see of a G Cloud contract is being an award notice that you could have got and won, then it's likely you've got a viability issue, or you're obviously not doing your homework enough. So, and the listing is just part of that journey. It's just the start of it. Okay, there's a lot of things you need to do to be successful at G Cloud. So first of all, in terms of best practice, okay, so we're going to take you through what we think is a really, really great listing from a company called Careology. So the first thing is the service name. All right, so you have basically in a bunch of things what we call the front end, you have a maximum of 260 share searchable words. All right, to make sure that you come up on return in search. So try not to include the app or software name. Call it by what it does. Okay. Because the search is not the buyer isn't going to be searching for your solution name. They can't do that legally and make that as a procurement. So they're going to be looking for digital cancer care or remote patient monitoring or real-time care. Yeah, that's the first thing you'll be looking for. And then you have underneath here, you have a block of text. It's 50 words, I think it is. You can have, which talks about how you can get an opportunity to do a high-level description of what your thing does. Don't put the marketing stuff in here saying, hey, yeah, we're the greatest thing since sliced bread and hundreds of thousands of people use us. You've got other places to put that, okay? But you do need to include your keywords and what the service does. It takes a lot of work to get this right. All right, trust us, we do this day in, day out for people. All right, so it does take a lot of work to get all of this right. You then have your features and benefits. You have 10 features, 10 benefits. Again, short and snappy. We don't want to see any marketing or sales waffle in there. You have an opportunity in each one of those features to have 10 words within them. So we look to use keywords and phrases. What are the main things your buyer's going to want from the solution? Okay. And how do they search for it? How are they going to search for it? Because each one of these is going to return. Now, one thing you need to know about G-Cloud is that, if you appear near the top of the listing, it doesn't mean that I can go and buy from you. Right? I have to specifically follow the correct buying practice, buying route. So, if you're a cloud migration specialist and you're appearing 5 pages in for cloud migration, there's like 10,000 listings for that. Then, there's other ways of crafting what you need to do to make sure that you can get into the shortlist of there. All right. And that's what people pay us to do. You then have the service definition. Now, many service definitions aren't fit for purpose. All right. And originally, in the original G Cloud, you were issued guidance around what should be in an ideal service definition, and many buyers still use this. The ones that have been still around, still using the framework, still use this guidance to actually be able to review comparing solutions to make sure they're getting the information. So the more information you can put there, the better. All right. So bad listings and great listings, you'll see they'll get a lovely, well-designed brochure. This obviously spent a lot of money on the brochure. Quite often you'll find loads and loads of great salesy words in there, but it doesn't. It should not be. It's a technical document. Okay, it's a technical brochure on what you do. So I don't have to contact you as a buyer. I should actually be able to sit there and look at these 3 services and go, okay, they got their here, there. And if I can't, then I can contact you and clarify what you do. All right. So, as it says, if the right information isn't here, how can your service be bought? I've seen some shocking ones over time. I've seen some absolutely brilliant ones. And we've given you a list here of what we use, okay? So there's quite a lot here that you need to write. So if you think I haven't got that much to write here and it'll get me on, then, you might as well just not give up, okay? So to recap, these are the parts of the 6 that make up the G-Cloud listing. So you've got your service title, you've got your summary, you've got your features and benefit, you've got your service definition. There's also a bunch of filters, which are incredibly relevant for lots 1 and 2, less so on lot 3, but I do have the story of someone that had been on the G-Cloud for quite some time on the digital marketplace, and they came to us. We do what we call G-Cloud health tech reviews, or they're called buyability reviews, is where we've got the name from. And they said, look, we're having a problem here because none of our clients are wanting to buy us, but we're not appearing in search terms. So we looked at them, we checked through their 7 listings that they had, and they had ticked no to all of the services that they're offering, whether it was security, planning, migration, training, and that. All of them had ticked as no. So whilst they may appear in say cloud migration again, that's not what they do. Then if you went down and used the filters, it filtered them out. So there's no wonder their customers couldn't find them. And then again, your pricing. Pricing is very, very important. Do not put price on application in your listing. Okay. Do not put the base price is £35. It costs. There's so many different things we offer. Please contact us. No, that is a non-compliant listing. There are ways you can mitigate if you've got long tail prices that make up your service and the offering that you've got is complex. There are ways you can mitigate that, but you'll need to contact us to do that because that's kind of paid work, the advice that we give. So what does this really mean in terms of the application process? Okay, it needs input from teams or from, if you're 1, 2, 5-man band, people who are responsible for sales, marketing, leadership, legal, bid teams, operations, customer services. There's a bunch of different things you're going to need to find. So you can come across quite barriers that take time to resolve, especially if you're some of the larger firms. There are compliance issues. You've got a termination of convenience clause in there. There's things around pricing. There's things around your domestic, how you're doing processing data, all this sort of stuff. Yeah, okay. And then you've got to try and find keywords that work for you, that are unique to you. All right. So we tested this with one of our earliest clients, and they said to us that a new lot 2 listing can take as much as 15 to 20 working days across the business. Okay, because there's a lot to do. Just for reading the framework takes ages. Okay, and And in previous editions, GDS, when they ran this framework, used to show the G Cloud used to show the G Cloud application timeline. And what it showed was that something like 25% of suppliers failed to make the finish line. All right. Quite often, a lot of them started their applications with 2 weeks to go. Don't be fooled by the 2 month window, the 2.5 month window that you're likely to get to put this in. And I think I'll save it to the last 2 weeks because it's likely you'll fail. Okay. So honestly, just start early. Yeah, if you're going to do this yourselves. So a little bit now about how we can help. We're running towards the end, then we get into the Q&A, I promise you. So still got half an hour left of the framework of this webinar. So our listing service, okay. So we offer what we call a managed service to submit on time. We offer a guarantee to get you one or you get your money back. Okay, we'll take a risk and reward basis on this. Project manage you through the end. Our G Cloud viability experts will help you craft your listings, taking away the need for much of the search end, the front end, and also getting the right thing to us. You will end up with a first class G Cloud listing at the end of this. All right. We review your submissions, keywords, and associated documents. And if you're already listed, well, you can help you make sure that you're in a much better position on G Cloud 14. Navigate the sales selection questionnaire easily. You can go through a hell of a lot of the framework and want to have a look through the terms and conditions, and we strongly recommend you to do. But you've got plenty of time to do that. There's some key things in there in the framework that we will identify to you. There's a lot of documentation there to read through if you're going to make your decisions on that. We create very, very easy to understand templates, and I've got some exciting stuff to tell you in a second. And we do review feedback over a certain time. And you've always got your designated specialist at hand to get you to the finish line. Okay, so we take responsibility for getting that up for you. So, drum roll, etc., etc. So, like many in the world, we're excited by Gen AI and the possibilities of automation. We've used automation on G Cloud about 5 or 6 years ago. We automated uploads, and for some reason we didn't carry that on. I think it's because it changed, something like that. So, but what we have now is we're trying to make sure that this process is as easy as possible for all of our clients. And getting you started. So we've got our own G Cloud, Advice Code G Cloud tool. All right, it supports our managed listing service. It's not available for individuals to use by themselves. We use it because what it is we've distilled and pulled all our knowledge into our app and into our support service here to help you craft a listing and get you started. Okay, so it takes away about 85 to 90% of the time it takes to put together a listing. So initially, we will create. Having had a chat to you, we'll create your 260-word searchable terms. It will go out to the digital marketplace or to the things that we've got in there. It will identify the correct terms for the type of thing you're trying to buy. It can then, if we provide us or tell us who your competitors are, we'll benchmark you against your competitors and making sure you're covering for their keywords as well. All right, and it will also create the basis of an excellent service definition doc, which can be quite long, but it can be one of the biggest things that stops people getting things done. So how do I start this? What do I do? What's it supposed to do? We can give you the basis for that. All right. So it's all inputs from our people. We've been doing this since version 4 of G Cloud applications. This is the first time we've had an automation tool. All right. So there's no any extra work for suppliers. It literally would help us take away that hard part for you. Okay. It just means that we can support more clients to build better viable listings and just make your lives a lot easier. These tools are fantastic. They've been in test for months. And we're really, really excited to bring this. This is almost like our MVP of this. We've got lots and lots of big plans for this over the next few years. All right. There's a discount here for the first 20 companies signed up from this webinar. Just when you get in touch with us via this link here, and you'll be able to book a chat with me or one of my team, and we'll talk you through our listing, what the costs are, and for the first 20 to sign up, there will be a discount in there. Okay, so there's that. In terms of a reference from G Cloud Service, our lovely client Anatech came to us and said, look, we've had these G Cloud listings, they've never had any inbound. Now, bear in mind that G Cloud is not a source of inbound leads, right? 50,000 services on the marketplace, why would it be? We gave them some advice and we reviewed the listing, and since we did that, they've had a very good response. I think it was 4 new inquiries, one of which were absolutely one that they were nailed on to proceed and hopefully into close. So Bless them for giving this review. It's very kind of them. And they said they highly recommend the review service, which is the basis of what we do around G Cloud work. Other services we have, so we do training and workshops, Procurement Plus, go-to-market assessments. We've got a Procurement Plus our support service, so you don't have to become a procurement expert. We are nearly half our work that we do now is around bid reviews and bidding. So we've got some really, really great stories to talk to you about that if that's something of interest to you. So, final poll, I believe this is, and then we get into Q&A, Danny, if that's okay with you. How was this webinar? How did you find the session? Was it useful, very useful, or not useful at all? Nearly 80%. Okay, let's close the poll, Danny, and show. Okay, well, thank you very much to 99% of you who found it useful, very useful. If that's the usual competitor that comes on for the 1%, but not useful, thanks very much for your feedback. If not, let us know, tell us how we can be useful again. Really delighted with that. Thank you so much. 99%, that's a fantastic response. That's really great. It shows that we're doing the right stuff. And if you always have any feedback anyway, please do let us know. Okay, so I think now that's that. We can go over to Q&A. Hey, calling Danny, do we have questions?
Hello, yeah, we've got lots of questions in already. If you have questions, do chuck them in the questions box. As Chris said at the beginning, any that we can't answer, we run out of time, we'll try our best to write up and send them over with the recording. So someone does ask, with lot 4, just to check, is this the only lot that has a cap on how many suppliers are accepted, and what is the cap for lot 4?
Yes, it is. Lots 1 to 3 are uncapped, and the cap for lot 4 on G Cloud 13 was 40 suppliers, and I'm led to believe that's not changing.
Okay.
That's 40, by the way, not 14. 40 suppliers.
Yeah. Someone else asks, is it possible to use G Cloud if the supplier provides software development services and develops cloud applications for the client in their own environment, or should the supplier use DOS instead?
Strongly recommend you use DOS.
Okay, cool. So just reading through some of these now. So in terms of pricing and the likely 2-year lifespan of G Cloud 14, would you recommend having first year of the framework prices and second year of the framework prices, or would you overprice and potentially offer reduced pricing for the first year? How would you manage pricing for that?
That is entirely up to you how you want to approach that. I mean, we have suggestions, but that is stuff that people tend to pay us money for. Sorry.
No worries. Yes, someone says, so it's anticipated 19th of February as open date for applications. Could you please tell us when that period ends, how likely the application window will be open?
I've got a bet on that it's going to be the end of April, but it could be June. So we don't know yet, and we won't know until you see the ITT. But based on last time's go around, the problem we have is that Crown Commercial have a very, very busy framework year. Okay, so there are 3 other frameworks coming out from CCS. You've got Digital Capability for Health, which is quite a limited numbers framework, which will be due out in May, which I think is when G Cloud, they're trying to hope that G Cloud will be closed by then. Then you've got Tech Services 4, and then you've got the revised version of DOS coming out so yeah, Tech Services 4 is September, and the revised version of DOS is supposed to be out in October. So they're going to have a lot on their plate, and they need to do quite a lot of work. So I would think my bet's on the end of April, but it could be slightly pushed into May. But I wouldn't go any further than late May. So you've got a couple. I'd allow a couple of months, but as I said, just don't delay. Just start on it and get on with
it. Brilliant. Someone I can answer this one. Where can we find the published G-Cloud spend data? You can find that on our website. If you go to our website there on the Knowledge Hub side, and the drop down, there is the G-Cloud spend data tool that we have, so you can look everything up and analyze that data.
You also have a DOS one there just underneath it as well.
Yeah. So someone asks about the G-Cloud tool that we'll be introducing. There's some questions that have come in about that. Someone asks, does the automation tool produce similar responses for all suppliers that use it, or how does it create different sort of work for everyone?
No, it doesn't, and we ensure by the way that we use our prompts and the way that we've set up our LLM to make sure that it doesn't produce similar responses for everyone. That's against what we're about, because we're trying to make unique responses. Remember what the tool does, it creates the basis, then we use our knowledge to actually hone that to make you and you do input in that as well. So it creates a basis of a listing, which then we will then use our review knowledge and knowledge of buying, and you will input into that as well. So no, it's not going to be, you're not going to see vanilla suppliers over 200 or 300 listings.
Brilliant. So there's a lot of specific questions coming in about people's what they provide and if it's right for G-Cloud and that sort of thing. For some of those, we will write up the answers and send them around, because obviously they're quite specific to technology there. But someone does ask, if you're a professional services provider, which is the right lot to apply for?
Lot 3. Unless you're a larger, a medium to larger, or of the larger small type organisations, and you are involved, you think you've got the bidding capability to handle tendering through lot 4, then I would suggest lot 3 and lot 4, providing you can provide the end-to-end capability, taking you from the choosing, where the cloud's right from you to, all the way through to installation and support.
Another question here. Do you think that the D&B threshold may apply to other frameworks down the line, or do you have any idea why it's being introduced with G-Cloud?
Yes, due to Cabinet Office policy, that's why it's being introduced into G-Cloud, and all other frameworks apart from G-Cloud and Digital Outcomes and Specialists have always had an element of financial viability. These two are the only ones not to, because of the number of suppliers that are applying. Trying to do D&B checks and then further on is quite tricky. But Crown Commercial have said that they've got a service available to them for elements where there's ambiguity or there's an issue with your company. Then they've got a service available to help them get through that, which they're anticipating large numbers. Probably why they're going to close it quite early, so it gives them enough time then to evaluate in the timeline before they get to award. And they've got some back and forth then, rather than just immediately saying, sorry, you haven't passed your D&B threshold. Usually, if you don't pass the D&B threshold, you're given an opportunity then to understand the queries that Crown Commercial have and to try to rectify those, whether it's via providing a parent company guarantee or some bank details or whatever. There's lots of different ways to mitigate that.
Perfect. Another question here, with regards to lot 2, can you sign up for multiple G-Cloud listings?
Yes, put as many on as lot as already on. I don't know. Someone found. I think there was like 300. Some company put 350 or something listings on. Yeah. So I think the more successful ones do put quite a few on. So how many of them are useful? I don't know. Quite a lot of them can be grouped. But yeah, it's up to you how much time, effort, capacity you've got to do that, and also how well you can manage the management information reporting afterwards, for dealing with that, especially if you're selling through them or even market them, because you do need to be able to market these services too.
Still lots of questions. So good job we've got
Let's
some
keep them
time.
coming. We've got time, so keep them coming.
Someone says, if the company achieves new certification, e.g. A new ISO after the award of the framework, can the company's G-Cloud documents be updated?
At the discretion of Crown Commercial, in most instances, yes, providing it's not a material change to the listing, or if it's not beneficial to the buyer. But that's really is reliant on Crown Commercial, so it's not really for us to say. So sometimes they do, most times they will, sometimes they won't. It really is dependent on the type of change you're doing.
Someone asks, I think this is in relation to when we said to not put specific software titles into service names if you can try not to. So this says, so is it your recommendation not to state things like Microsoft 365 in service titles and descriptions?
But that is actually the people will be searching for that. It's more if you've got a specific now. I mean, there was one going back to my early days. An organisation had spent a long time and a lot of money on branding, and they called their product Blue Banana. And they were very, very insistent on listing blue bananas on the digital marketplace. I don't know of any bananas that go to a cloud service and search for blue bananas. Seriously, it didn't in the end. But
I don't think I've asked this one yet. Just tell me if I have. Will the G-Cloud Lot 4 submission be the same as last year, i.e. competitive, more competitive than Lot 1 to 3?
absolutely. It will be certainly more competitive. Whether it will be the same as last year, I don't know. There'll probably be some minor changes to it, but I don't think it will be any different to in terms of the things you're going to have to provide for it and it being benchmarked against or evaluated against others. Hopefully, it'll be going live a little bit earlier than the other one did, though.
A few people asking the similar types of question here. So will people that are already on G-Cloud 13 have to reapply, or will it just transfer over to 14? Someone also asks, what is the process for?
So yes, you'll need to reapply, and you'll need to make sure that your services are covered across appropriately. You'll need to mark them as complete and press submit. What's down is I still get people, not our clients, of course, but I still get people calling me up just after G-Cloud's closed saying that they've marked their services complete, but they didn't actually submit them. And what can we do? And the only thing that they can do is wait for 2 years. So if you're going to be doing this stuff yourself, make sure you press submit. You can unsubmit if you want to change them, yeah, but just make sure you press submit so they're ready to go.
Nice. Another question here: will there be a greater role for Cyber Essentials or Cyber Essentials Plus?
Not to get onto the framework except for in Lot 4. Okay. However, if you don't have it and you're looking to contract with the public sector, it's pretty unlikely you're going to be able to do anything of a decent level. You're going to spend a lot of time with the information governance team proving why your company or your service is going to be okay for them if you don't have CE or CE plus. For a change, actually, Crown Commercial are not considering ISO 27001 an equivalent of Cyber Essentials Plus. All right. So it's not either or, it's have both if you can. All right. So it's not an essential for the, despite its name, it's not an essential to get onto the framework. All right. But it is pretty much essential to have it to contract.
Another question here. We provide software, but also the professional services using the software. Is there any change in G-Cloud 14 to include this?
It's always been the way that you can provide professional services alongside your software listing. It can only be used if you only put listing in lot 2, which is the cloud software listing. It can only be used for when that customer is purchasing that particular software or has bought that software. If you want to sell professional services outside of a software call-off agreement, you will need to have a separate lot 3 professional services listing for your cloud software.
So just finding ones here that we haven't answered yet. Will there be an overlap from lot 4 to the other lots, for example, transformation as part of the government's digital program?
I'm not sure I quite understand that. Could you just read it again?
So it says, will there be an overlap from lot 4 to the other lots, for example, transformation as part of the government's digital program?
Well, if a buyer thinks that what they're looking to buy, if it's a transformation project, will involve the migration of stuff to the cloud, and it's an end-to-end requirement, then yes, it can be included. But that's up to each individual buyer to assess whether that lot is right for them. If not, it could be that they use digital outcomes or tech services 3/4 when it's out, or management consultancy 3 if they're really picky. I wouldn't use MCF 3 for anything, but there we are.
Someone says, can you clarify, as per a question just before, is it advisable to have ISO 27001?
If you're a software supplier or an infrastructure supplier, it's always really good to have it, because but then you need to make sure you understand how it applies to the cloud security principles, be able to identify to buyers exactly how that applies and what you're doing with that data, etc. But to actually get onto the framework, no, it's not. But if you have it, it is a filter that we're able to use to filter out organisations that don't have it. So quite often buyers will use that as a filter to separate out suppliers that do or don't have it.
Awesome.
And ideally, sorry, just one point on this, Danny. It needs to be a UK authority that's reviewed and approved your UCAS accredited authority that's reviewed your 27001. There are countries and suppliers that will suggest that they're approving your 27001 ISMS system, when reality is you've just paid them some money for a certificate and you don't have that. It's if there's a proper equivalent, then we can do that, and we can still do that under the UK and the EU procurement laws. But if you're providing something that isn't fit for purpose, then don't expect anyone to believe a word about your security processes.
I'd say this one, just to finish off, if you have any other questions, do chuck them in, and as I said, we'll write up answers to any that we can answer and send them around.
Cool.
But this question says, does the new G-Cloud tool that we have come as part of your normal services, or is it only available to Procurement Plus? And also, can we get a demo of this new platform, its benefits, / how do we get in touch about everything?
Okay, so it's available to any people who sign up to our managed listing service. There is in this that there's a for anyone who wants to find out. So if you're Procurement Plus, and that's great, you can give us a shout. If you're relisting, and we can see about getting that in, getting using that for you and helping you with that. This only really has been coming out of testing in the past couple of weeks, so we're making sure that we're happy with it. So this is why anyone who signed up to us last year, we've not used it with you because it wasn't ready for us to use. How to sign up for this? Well, there's a QR code a few slides back, and just use that or get in touch with us via the links that Danny will send out when we send out the recording and things like that. Be able to book a time. A demo of it, it's not really a demo, it's not really necessary because we're doing what we create. We'll tell you what we'll do and we can show you some of the stuff that we'll do with it. But it's still just going to be still part of our same managed listing service. But please do get in touch, we can talk it through. Delighted. More people the better, to be honest. Can't wait. It's fantastic. It's really good.
Cool. Yeah. Okay. So we'll end the questions there. There is a few more coming in now, so as I said, we'll send them around. We'll try and send around the emails with recordings and all of this tomorrow morning for you.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Danny. Thanks for your help on this as always. And thank you so much to all the 500 of people that have registered for this webinar. I think we've got about 200 or 300 of you online. So fantastic to see you here, and hopefully I'll speak to meet some of you soon. If we don't see you, good luck with everything, and maybe we'll see you post G-Cloud to see whether we can help you procurement wise, or just good luck with everything anyway. Stay well, everyone. Thanks very much. We're going to end that now. Bye for now.